let me get on here because y'all know. Give me a minute because I can't, the chat don't stay up. Okay, I can see. We'll wait a few minutes, see who's in. How you doing? Let me turn this on my headset. Hold on. I got these through Amazon. They not bad. The sound when you talking on them, but the listening to music and video is real good on these. The sound is really good. And then I'll show y'all something else. Turn the volume down. How you doing and can you hear me? AJ, what's up, baby? How both of y'all doing and where y'all at in the country? I know some folks is drivers, some folks ain't. I'm gonna show y'all some hot sauce I got here. Okay, you can hear me good. I'm gonna show y'all some hot sauce I got. I got a couple more of them, but I don't think I have them in here. I got a set of them from Amazon, and I like them. I bought the sriracha first, and then I ended up buying the rest of them, and it's made out of Texas. It was in my advertisements, you know, like because I order stuff from Amazon, and it was like and I was looking for a different type of sriracha. But I'll show it to y'all in a minute. Let me see if we'll give it a few minutes, see if anybody else come in. I didn't do this one as many days early, so they might have to catch it later. Whoop, whoop. I'm off today. I took a vacation day on Friday. I'm working on the house. I started finally working on the bookshelves because I've just had stuff stacked up. I'm working on bookshelves over there near the door and organizing the books. My pest control guy's coming out to do our good old spray because I'm having to do the deep spray. And then we're good for probably about 6 months to a year before I have them come back out again. And then I might have them do the back because I had ants, gnats, but the back needs to be cleaned up. So I'm hoping Linda's gardener, who I called today, and I told him to be here Friday. So he told me he'll be here between 9:30 and 10, which is fine. Because the pest control guy's supposed to be here at 8:30, and he'll be here about a half an hour to an hour. And then I told him, I said, that's fine, because I just won't go, I can't be in the house, so that's fine. And that'll work out, so. Hey, man, what's up, baby? How you doing, sis? I'm just kind of shooting Shiz right now, waiting to give a few minutes, because I didn't get this one out as early. I meant to do it a couple days, and I was like, last night I was like, oh, I forgot to put out that I'm going to be on there, but it's okay. People can catch it later. Okay. Try to find a fit if you're going to do trucking. If you can't, it's not going to work. Yeah, I've been tired too. It's a season change. I think, man, that's why, you know how when the season changes, like, all of a sudden, you don't want to go to work. You don't want to get up. You just like, season change. And I think it's kind of like that part of us, kind of like a bear. You want to hibernate. You want to hibernate. And basically with all the madness we got going on in the world right now, you really want to hibernate in your house away from the mad people because people is crazy. It's Hades. Okay. There's a young man, and he showed up in my feed. He's actually moved here to Arizona. He's downtown, not too far from me. And no, he got into trucking, and his goal was to learn to drive. His father, I think his father might have did prison time or something, he was saying. And then he actually went to school for trucking, and he said, my goal was not to be a long-term truck driver. And he basically started buying trucks. He got a driver under one truck, another one. And you can make money that way. You just got to know how to work it. People just got to be good with it. And it's really luck of the draw, I'll be honest. Because some people, when you go into it, they don't hit it right. And they get all the expenses, and next thing you know. But I got an associate of mine, her brother's down in Tucson. And he was in Colorado when he started his trucking business in Colorado. And he had contracted to King Super or the other one. There's a Mile High, one of the two in Colorado. And he was doing loads for them. And then I guess he was doing well enough. He came here to Arizona, bought a house in Tucson. And I know that he has a few trucks and drivers. He just got another driver. And he pretty much goes out just to train the driver, and then he's back home chilling. And I guess he's doing quite well because you know how black folks do. We got to get the cars, the name brand cars, some of us. And then he taking helicopter trips. And I'm not saying that's expensive, but it's not something we typically do unless you roll in the right way. I don't know how much a helicopter, but took private helicopter trip all the way around the Grand Canyon and stuff. Um, just bought, I don't, he bought a couple different name brand cars. And I think the latest one he got was like Joe the Range Rover. Range Rover is a nice car. It's not me. I'm a truck person, so for me, if I had money yesterday, like if I had money today or yesterday, and I had extra, and I could really afford it, and then have extra, but I'm not me. I'll probably go buy an old truck. I know how I am. But I would probably get like the new, either a Toyota, Nissan, or Honda, and I'd want a diesel truck. I don't want a gas truck. One of those, and then get diesel, something that could haul a trailer, and then I go buy myself an Airstream trailer, and give me a Cocker Spaniel, a Min Pin, and we be rolling. And a piece of land with a tiny home on it. I don't miss trucking. I do miss traveling. There's a big difference. So trucking was work. I do not miss the industry. I did it initially to be for the fun of it. And then it became a job. And then I started seeing, Bill had warned me of some things. And I didn't know, the level of discrimination in the industry. He told me trucking is a very good indicator of the pulse of America. I mean, he didn't say it in that verbiage, but virtually that's what he was saying. And so when we saw like what the previous mindset of the previous administration, it permeated white trucking. And the companies are owned predominantly white. So that previous administration, they were hook, line, and sinker into that. That was their thing. I mean, we had Trump stuff all over the office where I worked. As a matter of fact, the guy who was the former director of office, who was supposedly married to a sister, he was a white man, and he had Trump paraphernalia all in his office. I'm like, ooh, I wonder how that household is. But I got black friends of mine who are Trump supporters for Christian reasons. So, hey. Jay, can you say that again, brother? Say what you say. I hope it's a brother because Jay could be a girl, but say that again. If y'all didn't read what Jay said, he said, if my people who are called by my name should turn from their wicked ways. Yes. And then basically humble themselves and pray. And by the way, so y'all, I'm going to talk about Christian stuff. Y'all don't like it, y'all ain't got to watch. I'm being me. So that scripture right there, oftentimes we take that out of context and we think it's meant for everybody. It is not. That's meant for Christians. And it's meant for those who know of God and have gotten out of order. And it does mean that also if you backslidden or not in the state you supposed to be in, you ought to turn from your wicked ways. Because he says, if my people. So he ain't say if all people, because not all people are his. If you want to go back, you can go to that scripture where it says, you are of your father the devil. So you ain't his. So you either his or you not his. So if it says, if my people, it means that you are in a backslidden state for him to ask you to turn away from your wicked ways. The church, and a good chunk of the church, is in a backslidden state. And we trying to think as if we are lined up, but a lot of us are out of order. A lot of us have let on board, this is a good conversation, have let on board things that are not of God, okay? And we have meshed. That's why it was funny. I was watching I like the guy, but he kind of pisses me off at the same time. I have problems when people hold the word hostage for money. That's my only analogy I can say. And what he does, he is a prophetic teacher. Not that he prophesies, but he teaches about biblical prophecies that are already written. So, and he's good. I like him. I watch what I can of him, but I refuse to pay the money extra to hear his extra content because I think it's abhorrent for any minister to hold the word hostage for dollars. And to me, it feels almost like a money changer situation that happened in the temple, right? So what this guy does is he'll talk about some of it. Then he says, oh, if you want this other content, then you can join this page and pay $77 a year, $7 a month. And I'm like, and I just refuse to do it. I just it bothers me when I hear that, and you're gonna hold the word hostage. So I can't. Just I can't. So, but he was talking the other day, and he was sharing something about the rapture and the fact that where you talk about the five virgins that God comes for and the five that get left. He says that represents the church. So 50% of the church is ready and 50% of those who knew Christ ain't. So they get left. And he's saying they knew me. They knew me, but I don't know you now because you're not in the place you should be when I came to get you. So you're not ready. So I'm going to go and take them. And sorry, I really don't know you because you're not in line. So those people get left. And those people are going to be some of the people that are going to witness, lose their lives, be martyrs for the gospel. Unfortunately, it's going to be hellish. So that's why I tell people now you need to be casket and rapture ready with all that's going on. Because we are in, people don't want to talk about it, we are in what's called the birth pains. We're in the early part before the birth of Antichrist, before the birth of the 666. We are in the early stage of this. We are seeing the prelude. And what this is, I like to call the stage is being set. So this is the dress rehearsal. Baby, we are in the dress rehearsal. And God bless America and everybody else who in the world, actually in this situation, who gonna be left here in that madness. Woo! Because this madness is deep. It's deep, deep. From the whole, never would I thought I would have lived through this madness. It is that mad right on the money, but people don't see it. That's why I said a lot of what's going on is spiritual. And it's weird that and I don't know if Lord, this is where He's gonna be end up taking me with this channel, but I had someone reach out to me who kind of dismissed me because they got mad because I shared something with them. The baby is old enough to be my child if I would have had a child. And they're on Facebook, and I had noticed that they had changed it's like a little shot of, it's a little screen, you call them little icons, like my little icon of me with the hat on from trucking, for the, your little, whatever, your little icon of you, whatever they call it, for you on there. And so I noticed that they had changed it to a yoga pose, and it had these little lights all the way down. And so they would talk to me, and sometimes when they talk to me, they talk to me about Bible stuff, and I knew they weren't right there. But, hey, I'm who I am. It's who I am. Like it, love it, or lump it. It's me. And so I said, hey, I noticed that hey, Chicago BBW, I noticed that your icon changed and you changed it to this. I said, I don't think you know what that is. Oh, it's just chakras. Oh, I know what it is. You don't know what it is. We talking biblical stuff on the side because I can tell you on the fence. But now you done pulled out the chakra pose thing. And don't get me wrong, we got Christians that go and do yoga. They meditate, not biblical meditation. I speak gratitude and I speak life. And I do all that madness. That ain't got nothing to do with biblical meditation. So, we're going to go here. We're going to go here. Let's just go here. It's what we're talking about. So, what's happened... Okay, Lord. What's happened, this individual, she talked to me almost a year, mad at me. And I was like, I don't know what to tell you. China McClain, and I'm a segue, I'm trying to come back to this, but China McClain gave a wonderful analogy. She's left pretty much kind of Hollywood, so to speak, young black actress. I really didn't know who she was. I watched Black Lightning, but I had never identified her, and I didn't know she was a Disney star. I didn't know anything really about the baby. It wasn't until I guess she did some videos that I've seen here and there through YouTube that she had left and that she had become Christian and that she was really, really into her faith. But the girlfriend has done some analogies, and my favorite one by her she got from her father. And I'm going to go ahead and do this, and then I'm going to try to swing back to what I'm saying here. She said, it's an amazing analogy. She said, okay, we're at my house. And she said, this is her. We're at my house, and we're chilling. We're chilling. She said, we upstairs listening to music and painting and hanging out, her and a friend. She said, I tell my friend, hey, I'm going to go downstairs. I'm going to take the dog in the backyard and go to the bathroom. Let him go to the bathroom. So she said, I go outside and I see there's a snake in the backyard. She said, I come back in the house, grab the dog, go back upstairs, and my friend is getting ready to head out. And she says, I'm going to go in the backyard. And I look at her and go, okay. She go in the backyard, get bit by the snake, come in. Her arm is messed up. She done bit by the snake. And she said, girl, there's a snake in the backyard. And I look at her and say, I know. That analogy is gorgeous. It's gorgeous in the grand scheme of things because there's a lot of us as Christians. We know there's a snake in the backyard. There's things going on around us, and God has placed people for us to speak into their life. But we let them go in the backyard and get bit by the snake because society and whatever else is going on, and we either so delusional, not where we supposed to be, or we don't want to offend. We don't want people to be pissed off. Come on now. So we don't share with folks, hey, what you doing is dangerous. What you dabbling in is dangerous. So I'm warning you, there's a snake in the backyard and you're going to get bit if you keep messing with it. Well, that's kind of what's going on in the church. It's going on in several ways. Within the house of worship is going on because we got churches that are feeding you what you want to hear. They feed you the name it and claim it, the popularity, you going to be this and that. They feeding you the lie of the enemy. And not saying that God won't show you favor and you might end up having some amazing things happen. Those things might happen. But it is a mantra and a focus. It's not about him, but what you can get possibly from him if it's really from him. I'm just going to say that. So you're focused on the gifts. You focusing on the rewards. You focusing on, I call it pimping God. You focusing on all the things that you can that he can do for you and not on him. And so in essence, we got a lot of people with these lives they living in for the world, and they not living in this world to be ready for to try to get to heaven. This is their heaven. This is their reward, and their rewards are right here, and that's what they want. Kind of goes back to me with the Pharisees and Sadducees. You want to be seen of men, and you want to stand there and be looking and praying and all holier than thou and respected, and everybody looks up on you. Well, guess what? You got your reward. Here's your reward right here in this earth realm. The big reward you're not going to get, because the ultimate reward you want, you got. Whoop, there it is. So this young lady got upset with me because I told her what chakras were, and I think she took it as though I was judging her. And I wasn't judging her. It had nothing, not judgment. I'm trying to speak some life to you, baby. And I'm trying to help you understand. You letting some spiritual stuff in your house you don't want. You already dealing with other spiritual issues that need to be broken in your life. Lifestyle stuff like that. And I get that struggle because I've been there. And God's got to work through it. But this right here, on top of what you're dealing with, you don't need that. Mm-mm. And so, but people don't understand how dangerous bringing in Eastern-based religions, Hinduism, Buddhism, and all that other stuff, what spirits are tied to that. They don't realize how dangerous that is. And, if the world wants to do it, and America, again, and I'm saying for Christians, I can't speak to the world. I'm going to speak to those who are coming into the household of faith. Those who are in the world who all of a sudden God is pricking your heart and you want a change, cool. But those of you who want to stay in it, cool. God gives us free will. He tells us the wheat and the tares are going to grow up together. And if that's your belief system and that's what you do you, boo-boo. I can't help you with that. But those who God is pricking and your heart, and we having conversations that seem like God is dealing with you, I'm going to talk to you. Those of you who want to stay in your stuff, look, okay. I keep walking, shake the dust. Walk, shake the dust. That's what the word tell me. If they receive you, meaning they receive what you walking with, receiving basically him, and you walking in his name, and you coming with a word for them, and they receive you, cool. If they don't, shake the dust. That's not hard. I don't care if it's family, friend, stranger. Shake the dust. That means keep it pushing. So what's happening though, and what I had to explain to this young lady, she's reached out to me recently and she said, I need some wisdom and I need it from somebody who's wise. And I'm like, okay, and I gave her what I consider Christian wisdom and age appropriate wisdom because I'm old enough to be the baby's mama. And I laid on the table. Here's what I see. Here's what here's what I see. Here's what the Lord is doing. And here's the things you need to do. It's up to you. Do you, boo boo? I'm not perfect by any means. And I think that as Christians, we know that. But some people, with the madness that's going on right now, we are in a season. And it's a season. Um, it's a season of destruction. And if we don't know who we are, we're going to let things infiltrate that look pretty. And that's the thing in the garden. And like I said, if we go back, the garden really is the foundation of the deception. If we go back there, it will open our eyes to some of the stuff he does now, because right then and there, it shows us how smooth Satan is. And the other problem in the church is we don't talk about Satan. So in the household of faith, we don't, and I'm not saying you're supposed to get up there and worship him, but the problem is we need to train the house of Christians on spiritual things, on identifying the enemy. Instead, we so busy training them on what they can get and goodness and this. And I'm not saying God is not good. So I want to preface that. But if all I do is focus on this, Shani, thank you. And thank you, Shani. Welcome to the channel. If all we focus on is the goodness of God. All I'm gonna focus on is, oh, he gonna bless me with this, and I'm gonna get a new car, and I'm gonna have a better title at my job, and I'm gonna be pimping, and I'm gonna be this and that, and I'm gonna be the head, not the tail. And I'm not trying to be a negative person, because I don't, but I'm a real person. And what I need to see is the realness of it all. When our Lord and Savior was here, and we saw, if you look back through the history of the word and him walking around on this planet, his experience was really ratchet. When he asked that woman the question, what he asked her? Remember, I don't know if y'all remember, the woman that came to him, and she had her sons, and she said, I want my sons to be with you. I want them to basically be, I want you to do these things for my son. I want them to be a so. He said, can they drink of this cup? Because what he's saying is, be careful the eyes in which you think you see me in. While he was popular, yes, what he was going through and what he was going to have to go through, and to even get to the cross, it was absolutely hellacious. Let's just really go there. He was being chastised and belittled by the Pharisees, the religious community. There were some people that knew him, and the only way they knew him is that the Holy Spirit of God showed them who he and what he was. Otherwise, from the time he was in his mama's womb, he was a target by the enemy. And so, can you drink of this cup? Meaning it ain't always going to be lovely. And if we even look at the life of Paul, oh my God. I want to know. Somebody got to help me. And people go and they want to go point out how wealthy Abraham was, and everybody had money, and that's your focus of your relationship with the Lord. Jesus, help us. There's a problem. And we don't talk about the enemy because we don't want to talk about the enemy. We don't even, the church, some of the church, Satan, hell, this is their heaven in their mind. And they don't even have a cognizant thought about heaven or hell. So, and I'm sorry, y'all, I don't want to rant because somebody opened the door on that for me. But oftentimes we have to be careful, because there are things that are being pushed into, and I was just saying this on the side with the small little prayer group I have behind the scenes. There's things being introduced to Christendom, and because we're so ignorant, which goes back to that statement, my people perish for a lack of knowledge. Because A, people don't crack their Bibles. B, the church is not teaching them. C, pastors are pimps in the pulpit, and they not really teaching the word. They keeping a congregation for money reasons. I hate to go there, but that's my opinion. I ain't gonna say all, but there's a good chunk. And they doing what they can to keep congregation membership or build a mega church. And they not teaching word. They not teaching word. They not teaching foundation. They not teaching spiritual warfare. They not teaching about breaking generational curses. They not teaching that Satan exists. They not teaching about demons and hordes. They not teaching about end time things to come. That people don't know about Revelation. They don't know about Isaiah. They don't know about Jeremiah. They don't know about Daniel. They don't even know what Jesus said about the end times. I had an associate of mine, and she's part of, I think they try to put themselves under the Christian umbrella, and I got to be cautious on how I'm going to say this. I'm not going to mention the religious group. I do believe that some people in that organization may love the Lord, but I believe that that organization is highly deceptive. I believe that who's most likely, it is suspected, going to be the prophet to the Antichrist is going to come out of that religious group. I'm a firm believer that's most likely where the false prophet for the Antichrist is going to come out of, is that particular religious group. And this individual that I talked to, she had moved from Mormonism into this particular religion because she married a man who was part of this religious group. And I would say they have statues and they confess to priests. Y'all don't know who I'm talking about. They do prayers through Mary. Y'all know who I'm talking about. And so when me and her had a conversation, I told her, and I've been talking on the Christian side of things about the rapture. And I'm like, my prayer has been, Lord, keep me ready. Who wrote the Bible? Does that Bible mention why black people are? Okay, here we go. Hold on. Chuckerette. Hey, Chuckerette, we talked before. Oh, girl, hey! I ain't talked to you in forever. Who wrote the Bible? Does the Bible mention why black people are treated so badly and why they don't have any power? I'm going to have to come back to that later. And I'll come back to it. Let me talk about this because that is one of the biggest problems in the black community. And again, that has to go back to teaching the word and how the word has been presented to us in this country. So first of all, the Bible is a book by a people of color. Okay, I want to say that first. I'm not going to tell you black because we want to try to be on top because we have been treated so poorly. But the Bible is written by God's first chosen people, which would be the Jews. Let me come back to that because I can do some education. I'll share what I know on that. I'm not going to tell you I'm a Bible scholar on it, but I got a pretty decent foundational understanding of why we have that type of thinking in the African American community. Because one of the things that I hate and I hear, and by the way, that's the Star of David, y'all. I hear from black people, and I hear a lot, is I don't know why you worship that white God. Jesus was not white. Baby, Jesus was not white. Jesus was a Jew, and Jews are not white. They are a people of color. It wasn't until later in American history and the need for Anglo, which if you go look at the word Anglo-Saxon, that means European white. Come on. The Anglo-Saxons needed their numbers to go up. Part of the drama we had with previous administration. Why right now we have a party that is acting a plumb fool and trying to block brown and black people. And I hate that term because really we're African Americans or Latino Americans opposed to the color of my skin, because I am not black. If you see my skin is brown. Now we range from black to brown. Hell, we got some people in the black community who are supposed to be African American who look white because master was in the slave house, or they might be biracial. But in America, it used to be one drop of black blood made you black. Now these things have changed. The same as me and Joe had a conversation in the car the other day, because I think I love him, but I think sometimes he likes the fact that sometimes people think he's white and he's Latino. He's Mexican. His parents are both from Mexico. Okay, he's Mexican. And when you do an application, they don't show up under white or black. They have ethnicity. And that to me is foul. I think it's cool for them, but I think everybody should be under ethnicity. But in America especially, they use the color guideline, which has kept this racial divide. And don't get it wrong, ethnicity or race or whatever you want to call it is going to be even the catalyst for end time events to come. But do not get it twisted. Jews are not white. They are a people of color, and they range. Most of their skin is like an olive. And they range in color as well, just like Latinos. There's Latinos that are my color. There's Latinos that are black. Okay? And they're a spectrum. So we have to be careful when we get up in the Word of God that we have not read or we don't know. So that's again, you're asking me a question. Bust that Bible out. And it's all love because you know I know you. It's all love. But bust that Bible and start reading it and start reading the history and the generations and where they're come and their ethnicities. And you will find out. First of all, God's first chosen people are the Jews. Point blank, period. The rest of us has been grafted in. And we're a branch off of all of that because mankind was, we all come off of Adam and Eve. So we all divide. Where the culture started dividing the colors and all that, Tower of Babel. Go back and read it. I ain't got time to teach that right now, but you can go back and read it. So I do not serve a white God. I do not think that we need to get caught up into the politics of, oh well, the Bible is not a book if that's what was presented to us. Forgot who I was. There was a minister I was watching, and there is a museum. I don't know where it's at, and they showed the original Bible that was shown to us during slavery, and the white Anglo-Saxon masters, they took certain portions out in order to justify their control of us in this country. We now are starting to see full scripture on things because we're now getting the true compiled Bible. So be careful at trying to jump into ethnicity in the sense of, does the Bible defend on what? Because then you will have animosity towards a God you don't know because you're going based on what man may have manipulated and put into the culture as a poison to us. Example, we trucking. The African girl that I had on my truck, the one from, where's she from? Not Ethiopia. Where was she from? Was it Kenya? Where was that girl from? I can't remember. She was African. So I do know that certain African people, they don't look at us as African. They look at us as black, and they have a negative outlook on us because of what has been put in their culture. And I'm thinking, girl, we came from y'all. Matter of fact, some of our culture traded us into slavery. Some of them gave even black tribes for trade. They traded Africans for stuff too. Wrong, but they did, just didn't know because the Anglos is dirty on some of their stuff historically. And she felt, oh, my skin. I wish my skin was lighter. Because she's now worshiping, come on now, what has been put into her culture that white folks are better. If we even look at how we're doing, and I can't stand weave anymore because I understand also historically some of it. Back when I used to do the perms and the curls, if we understand the culture, we were looking at white slave master and we wanted our hair to be like theirs. We have to be careful how we're interpreting things and what we receive, especially if we haven't sat down and read this book. So my challenge to anyone who watches me, oh, it's over here. I don't have one near me. Oh, I do. Hold on. I thought I had one near me. It's a Bible. It's a Bible. It's one of my many. It's right here. It's right here. It's right here. It's right here. Pick it up and read it. Don't trust what I'm saying. Don't trust anything I say. I could be lying to you. Your pastor could be lying to you. Media could be lying to you. There are thoughts that you have that could be total effing lies. I know what I'm saying, not cussing, freaking lies, flipping lies, total lies. We got to come out of that, and we need to wake up. This is what's wrong with us right now. That's why you got people, I ain't getting the vaccine. Because you listen to a lot of mess instead of researching it on your own. Don't trust me. Open that Bible. If you go back in here, God was so awesome. He gave men the capability to write down a history and write down things to come that some have actually manifested. Some have manifested. Quite a few, actually. A history. Our science can tell us this planet was flooded. We can see the etchings on mountains. Come on. Where Lot's wife turned into pillar of salt, there is most likely a place over in the Middle East. My friend was watching a documentary where they showed this huge, it's just weird where it's sitting. And they believe right there was where Sodom was. I can't call it, but there is a history about it. Ruins, information, stuff that pages of this that we put in books have papers that are dated back. I'm just saying. I can't prove to you anything, but the thing is, and I think that as African Americans, oftentimes we've gotten caught up because of what we've been through in this country. But this is part of it. And it's part of some of the historical thing. And if you don't know, the man who helped Jesus carry the cross was black. If we're going to go by skin color or what we want to call in that vein. And we have been a people of faith, and we've grown in faith in away from slavery. So I'm going to say this, and people might not like what I'm saying. Sometimes you got to go through to wake up. And sometimes in order to receive and understand a God, if you in delusion or you lost, sometimes in order for things to happen, it takes some bad stuff to happen. A friend of mine used to have a saying, out of all bad comes some good. While slavery was horrid, and I can't even imagine what our people went through. I mean, we've seen it to some degree. Out of it came some good. Out of it came a faith-based people like no other. We actually got faith on a level that is unimaginable. To get through half of the foul behavior and treatment that we went through, that happened. Prayer happened. Relationship with God happened. The Holocaust, the Jews, Exodus, oppression in Egypt, and that's not us. That was the Jews. All that happened, but you understand, they were falling away from God, and He allowed them to go through some craziness, and then they drew back to God. They spent 40 years in the desert to try to root out of them all the madness they'd gotten from the Egyptians with the false idols and worship and gods. Kind of what's happening in the church right now. That's why I said and I'm going to bridge back, there's things that have infiltrated the house of faith, and we're calling it okay. Like we got Christians that go do yoga. Go research where yoga comes from. Go research that. Please research it. When you got a chance, please go research it. Go research. Go research some of the chants and the poses and all of what they're tied to. And they're tied to, I can't remember if it's Hinduism, one of those Eastern religions. And if it's not a God, who is it of? You of your father, the devil. So if it's not a him, it's not his stuff, then somebody else is behind it. It's one or two ways. And our Bible tells us very strictly, the fight that we have is against powers and principalities. It's not against flesh and blood. So that's why I say a lot of us as Christians, we're not thinking in a spiritual vein. We're seeing things through flesh, physical glasses. So like I can look at this madness right now and I can tell you, we are in the birth pains. Baby. Be casket and rapture ready. That's all I can tell you. So that if you get your call, your appointment, you want to hear good and faithful servant enter in, not depart from me for I never knew you. So I think that we have to be very careful when we try to put our ethnicity and the things that we have gone through, and almost like we're saying, well, the Bible is not really, it's a white book, and it's not. That's the lie. That's the lie. But again, the enemy knows how to work his game. He's very good. So now he's taken our culture and he's breathing back some poison that was back in the day. I don't know how you worship that white God, because the Anglo pink people depicted Jesus as white. There's a description of Jesus' physical characteristics in the Bible. I ain't gonna tell you. You can go research it. Please go do. I want you to. Go research Jesus. Let's talk about that woolly hair. Let's talk about that non-white skin. Go research it. Research his birth and his lineage. Please research it. He's of the line of David. David was a Jew or Hebrew. We call him Hebrew. Back then it was Hebrew, now Jew. Same thing. And if you want to understand America, let me help you with something. Let's understand America on a different level. I took a class years ago, non-Christian. I took a Black history class at Mesa Community College. Matter of fact, Arizona, because we only have 3% Black population back in then. I don't know where we're at now. They had to hire a African-American professor, and I think he came from the Carolinas. Cool. I met him, his wife. Cool brother. His wife, cool sister. She did African dance, like performance art. And granted, we got to be careful with that too, because that can get into some spiritual stuff. That's a whole other story. But cool couple. Loved him. Met his wife. He's mad cool. But that brother knew his history. He had been over to Kenya. He talked about things that culturally had translated back here to America. But baby, this man says something, and I snapped back in my seat, because it was something we don't think of, because we hear all the rhetoric. He said, back then, and I was in my 20s, okay? Pink people, take off the chain. He said, it used to be that Anglo-Saxons, European whites, because they were the majority in this country, they dealt with other people. Now, under their classifications of white, they've included groups they didn't used to include. Polish folk, Jewish folk, anybody whose skin didn't look like this for the most part, because it increased their numbers so that they kept holding on to power. That's why they flipping and tripping hard right now, and they changing voting rules, because right now they've lost in this country. African Americans and Latinos, we outpopulate them now. Pretty positive of it, especially Latinos, because they have big families. They believe in having a bunch of kids. But we have grown and we outpopulate them. And that scares them. It scares them. The only problem with us is we have no financial power. We don't have enough people financially in control. And now they realize that that's where the real power lies in America, is with money and position. If you got money, you usually can get position. Just saying. So please be careful, because I see that, and I saw that with another friend of mine, and I know we actually had teamed together, and he said something. I was like, whoa. I said, bro, you was reading your Bible on the truck. What are you talking about, white God? You're not reading that Bible right. Please go read about Jesus. Read all aspects of Jesus. Go in Revelations and read the description that John gave about Jesus. And also read the lineage of Jesus. And then you need to understand some of your American history and history in general. You trying to thinking that Jews are white. Jews aren't white. They're people of color. Child bye. Look at their hair. They cousins to the Muslims. They family. That's why it's a big family. They ain't feud. That's why they hate each other. They went two different directions. They family. Girl, bye. Y'all, oh, sweet mother. Okay, Lord, and you took this a direction I did not expect to go today. So I don't mean to be offensive, because Trucker Red is always love, but it bothers me when I see that. And it bothers me when people question it, and I can tell by the question you most likely haven't gotten in there and delved for yourself. And when you delve, because the Bible is difficult, always ask, Father God, I need you to get the Holy Spirit on board to give me interpretation of this word, to show me this word, to show me myself. and whatever I need to get addressed, because that's what this word is there for. As I tell you, parables are like, when I grew up as a kid, we used to call the moral of the story is. That's all a parable is. It's the moral of the story is. Jesus is telling stories in order to say the moral of the story is, and things to help us live this life differently. The other interesting thing, the Bible said there's nothing new under the sun. The behaviors that we see here translate to today. There's nothing different. There's stuff going on right now. Right now. Go back to this word. And if you look at it, my aunt finally said to me, she said, my aunt's an educator, a school teacher, bachelor's and master's. She said, baby, I've been reading Isaiah and Jeremiah, and she said, a lot of what I'm seeing is happening today. Right. The Bible said, ain't nothing new under the sun. And those are prophetic books. It's things to come. Things to come. This book right here. That book is awesome. If you get in there and delve into it, ciao, bye. I went through the Proverbs. I'm still working on the Psalms. And in the Proverbs, there's a part, and it just turned a light bulb on. It says, the wicked can't even go to sleep without doing wickedness. And they don't even know why they wicked. They don't even know what makes them stumble. Because the spirit, the demonic spirit they got on board that has them walking in their wickedness, they don't even know why they do it. They just do it, and they stay in it. And it goes back to something Grumpy said. I used to practice being a butthole. That's wickedness. And he thought it was funny. Who would think something that's sick is funny? Wicked people. Because the wicked don't know what makes them stumble. They can't even go to sleep without doing wickedness. It's an onboard spirit for them. This word is wisdom. And no, most of the people that wrote it were not white. I'm going to tell you, most of them were Hebrews, Jews. Matter of fact, pretty much I think all of them. I don't know if I might have some Ethiopians and stuff in there too. Sheba, Queen of Sheba. She went, was it Sheba? Yeah, Sheba. Sheba was black. It was Ethiopian. She went to see Solomon, who's David's son, which makes him a Hebrew or a Jew, because she wanted to meet this man who had all the wisdom. Girl, bye. And adopted the faith because of his wisdom. It's suspected that's where the Ark of the Covenant is hidden, is somewhere in Ethiopia. And there are Ethiopian Jews. They're black. By America's standard of the color line. I hate it. Anyway, y'all. Let me breathe. Because I don't know, that gets me riled up when I see that, because it is such a huge satanic deception that has been planted in our culture. The white God, who wrote the Bible, what is the other thing you asked? And why we were treated so badly. Well, Jews were treated badly. And right now, some of how we're treated may be the fact that we've fallen away from God. But also, because we were, like I said, we were a strong people of faith. And right now, that the Christianity within the black community is pretty much ixnay. A lot of black folks I know, they are into all sort of other religious stuff, from Buddhism to Hinduism to this new age philosophy of the I speak life and all that other stuff. And, you know, and I'm going to burn some sage and get rid of these spirits. And all you're doing is activating more demons. And they're getting away, especially the new generation. And a lot of it is because of the hypocrisy in the African American church. And the fact that a lot of folks in the black church, we've only been educated so far. I remember, and I was telling my friend Linda this story, and I remember, like I said, my uncle, he was a black Baptist pastor, and I got baptized in his church. I came to faith when I was about 9, 10 years old. Granted, I backslid and had my in and out, as we all do. I'm probably more grounded than I ever have been now. But I remember when I was at that church, and they only taught to a certain level. And it was what I call your milk Christianity. So basically, they feed you up to the milk stage. You might be able to eat some baby food, but they don't go into the deep stuff. We later ended up moving to Tempe, and we are still going to my uncle's church. And there was a little Assembly of God church on the corner, and it was multicultural. So I'm going to say the pastor was a white dude. He had some issues later, we find out, but he was a white dude. But we used to have missionaries come in, other ministries would come in, and you want to talk about moving from milk to meat? Girl, bye. I learned about the spiritual stuff. That's how I know about the whole issue with Eastern religions. It came from that church. There's things that we had ministers come in that spoke about in my teen years that I'm watching manifest right now. Legalization of certain lifestyles, and he said once that's done, it's gonna open up a plethora of other stuff. And it's like that man sitting here right now, everything he said, and I'm not even breaking it down the way he broke it down. I'm watching it, and I was in some of the lifestyles, and I'm like, hey, everything that dude said is happening. I was like 13 years old when I listened to him, learning about yoga and Eastern religions. I learned that out of the Assembly of God. Learning about spirits. They talked about everything. It wasn't nothing they didn't leave unturned, in my opinion. I grew a lot more in that church than I did in my uncle's church. Not knocking my uncle's churches. There are churches I think that get you to a certain stage. But the problem with that is they need to know how to graduate people, or they need to know how to grow. If you stay there, because a baby on milk cannot beat the devil. You got to get to a point. That's my people perish for a lack of knowledge is one of the best scriptures I've ever heard. And a lot of times the reason we perish for it is because we don't bust open this word and get to know God, and we don't get to know who our enemy is. And I got a friend right now, love him dearly, but right now he ain't even watching the news. Bro, did you hear Colin Powell died? What? You ain't watching none of the news. No, he's chilling, he's spending money, and he's getting his house ready. And granted, I'm happy for you. But I understand he don't want no, I don't, it's too negative. I don't want to hear anything. And he wants only to hear what he wants to hear because it's too much for him. But the issue is you walking in ignorance and you don't know what's going on around you. You better keep your eyes and your ears and your spirit not open to demons, but spiritually connected to the Lord, so he gives you wisdom so you can see. Y'all, we done went on a whole nother rant. I don't even remember what I named this video. Did I say something about water? I did say something about water. I better put that in here because we're coming up on an hour. Whew. Okay. I'm going to say this. And I'm going to say this in some wisdom. So if y'all never read a story, a biblical story you can read, which I recommend, is Joseph. Okay. If you don't know who Joseph is, Joseph ended up being second in command to Pharaoh. And if you go through history of biblical history, which gets to the Jews in Egypt and how they got there, it was the connection with Joseph. But then we get to the Pharaoh, they say, that didn't know Joseph. And this is where Moses enters in and the Exodus happens and a whole bunch of other stuff happens. But again, and I don't want to go down that rabbit trail too deeply, Joseph was put in place in Egypt to prepare for famine. Okay. Now I'm going to say this, and I ain't trying to scare people. We're going to have some issues with food and with water, y'all. To what degree, I do not know. I started having dreams and sharing this with my Christian group almost a year ago. I had dreams of me and my mom. We only talked to each other, but we're both cooks. We carried out a chicken to the trash. I mean, a whole chicken. Looked like it wasn't bad, but in the dream, I'm walking a chicken to the trash. I'm in line, a long line, like I'm going to school or whatever, like a kid, teenager, college student. And I'm walking to the bus stop, which was weird because it took me back to near where my grandfather was, and he's deceased, and it's a long time ago. And there was, and not that there was one, but in the dream there was like a restaurant, and I stood in line because I was like, oh, I'm gonna get some food here, and his line was long. Once I get to the counter in the dream, the man says that I was asking for fish. He said, we're out of fish. And I'm pissed off because we done stood in this long butt line. It almost reminds you of Depression era lines after I woke up and realized what it looked like. And I'm in there trying to he didn't have fish. But as we leave, and I didn't get no food from him, and I don't know if there was any other food, I know that was there for the fish. As I'm leaving out the restaurant, I look at the plates of the people who are sitting eating, and there's barely any food on the plates. And I just had several dreams, and then I started stocking. Everything in me was stocked, and I was stocking for me and Grumpy, because I had warned him. I said, you need to start putting canned goods. You need to get dry beans and rice. You need to start putting water in that house. I said, I don't know, but there's something coming. There's just in my spirit, everything, something's coming. Things were being presented to me from other folks, and folks were having these just odd dreams. One sister, she said, famine, Lord? Famine? Now, if y'all don't recognize, because again, I got people they want to people want to live in their bubble, just like with Texas. Y'all remember Texas and that freeze? Folks didn't have food, didn't have water, didn't have toilet paper, or even the freaking the what is this the pandemic, and folks didn't have toilet. I'm like, I had, praise God, I had about 3 months of toilet paper in my house. Okay, I am really struggling with understanding how people only have enough toilet paper to get you through the day or the week. I didn't understand. That was just weird to me. I got about 4 months of toilet paper right now, and I'm going to try to get it back up to a year. I was really stacking in. Everything felt like, and I bought into it just like everybody else. You're like, whew, administration had changed, and you just like, things are looking better. But I knew I should know better, and because I kept praying, Lord, why am I feeling this way? Now, I got to stop. Right now, I'm probably, because I was stocking for me and Grumpy, I have more than I probably can get through a year supply on food. My water started diminishing because I was doing bottled water, and the Kirkland bottles, after a while, the water kind of becomes, it evaporates a little bit through the plastic. I mean, it just does. So the bottle started becoming squishy. So the stack started kind of leaning. So I started going through that, but I'm starting to rebuild my water. So I'm in Arizona right now, if y'all don't know. And our water that we have, we take a bath with, we cook with, we wash with. If you drink sink water, I don't drink sink water. But that water comes, I think it's from the Colorado. I think it's from the Colorado River. And we all get water from them. I think Arizona, California, I think New Mexico, Nevada. I think it's four or five states that get water from that river. Well, that river is not been replenished. It's not replenishing. And so in 2022, recently, I kind of been warning, because I had warned people just from the dream. And then all of a sudden I started seeing new stuff. And people aren't paying attention. So most people don't read and they don't pay attention. And I'm not looking at some no-name news. I'm looking at mainline news companies that have done small excerpts about the issues. Now, this is just the state of Arizona that I'm talking about right now in the surrounding states. But we've had articles about this. Well, I told a friend before I had this dream, was having the dreams, what to start stacking. And then all of a sudden I started seeing information on that within the last 6 months. Now, I told her this almost a year ago. Another friend of mine woke me up. She's at the store, and she had sent me a text message. Shannon, what do I need to start stocking on? Because she's on the Christian channel. And I was like, at first I didn't know what she was talking about because she woke me up. So what are you talking? And I said, Bridget, what are you talking? And I tried to call her. And she said, no, I can't talk to you. I'm in the store. But what is it that you started using to start building your pantry, to build your urban pantry? And I said, are you talking about stocking? She's like, yeah, Shannon, something in my gut is saying I need to start doing this. Now, she's doing a lot later than what I like I said, I started back earlier, like almost 9 months ago, almost, close to 9 months to a year ago. And I gave her the list, and I had a method by which I did it. Now, like I said, I came from Depression era grandparents, so I always have food on board. I wasn't like Monty where you went in there and there was nothing but water in the refrigerator and some tin plates from fast food or women from the church. I always had food. Right now, my refrigerator, girl, I open the refrigerator door, stuff full out. My refrigerator packed. I got fresh vegetables. I need to get eggs. I'm out of eggs, but I just used my last eggs yesterday. You go in my room right now, I got, 35, 50 pounds of beans. I can't remember how many pounds. I got beans. I got a lot of beans. I got probably 60, 70 pounds of rice, dry rice. So, like I said, there's no way. And I did that because, like I said, I was knowing that if things got bad and Grumpy was still alive, I knew that he would not do what I told him to do. I knew that he would not go get food. Because he was just belligerent, and he was a cut nose off the spite face person. You could tell him something and he would bite him in the butt. Just like when I told him about moving the apartment. Yeah, I probably should have used them to move. You should have? Really? No, but you decided to go ghetto fab. All right, do you, boo-boo. But I knew, and I was like, well, if something happens, worst case scenario, I'm not going to be out. He can come on down here and stay, because I stayed with him as I was bouncing back from stuff. And obviously, if he's going to be hard headed, then he'll have a place to stay. He'd been on a futon or something in his living room, but he would have food, he'd have water, and we would be good. Because I had, like I said, I was stocking for 2 people. So if you do that, I'm going to say this, and the same thing I told my Christian channel: do not stock as if it's just you and yours. Always stock by adding at least 1 or 2 more people in there. So if 3 cans is going to be enough to feed you and your family for whatever period of time as you starting to build your supply, don't buy 3, buy 5. And please don't be such a butthole that you clean everything off the shelf because it's only about you. Because I'm going to tell you this much: sowing and reaping is a real thing. That is, and if you sow it the wrong way, you're going to reap it the wrong way, which means you're going to have a hot a mess. And it's not going to work out for you well. So when you go to the store, if there's 10 cans, don't take all 10 cans. Take 5 and keep it pushing. Leave some for someone else, because God is a supplier of our needs, but he also gives us wisdom. There's a reason Joseph had the dream and the warning. Joseph interpreted Pharaoh's dream regarding the famine that was coming, the 7-year famine. So, and what steps to take. And you want to talk about somebody who was treated badly, please go read what happened to that brother at the hands of his own family. Then once he got into Egypt, what he had to go through later to become as humble as he did and to serve second in command to Pharaoh. Y'all. So we got to be careful when we sitting up here going, well, why? Child, bye. For everybody go through something. And let me help you out. All these people that think they in charge, they going to get their reward. Because everybody got an answer for the shiznit they do. It's just the nature of the beast. And it's the word of God. What you sow, you will reap. And not everybody sows good stuff, because some of them are of their father, the devil. And the stuff they sow, if they don't reap it here, woe be over to them when they reap it over there. I'm just saying. And if you got to reap it in both places, well, dang. I don't mean to be mean, but ooh wee baby, not a fun experience. So save, prep. God will help you get through if you use wisdom. But if you walk in foolishness, I hate to say, Grumpy was one of those people, I'm going to do things my way, very set-centered. And unfortunately, because I think he was a person of faith and who I am, God had me in my heart malleable enough to make provision. But, he didn't survive that long. So for whatever is coming. But all I can tell you is there's going to be more. We have the hiccup in the supply chain is huge. What's ironic is so American is only focused on America. It's worldwide. If you go look at the ports worldwide, I just watched a documentary the other day or something news on all the ports right now and some stuff that China's doing. China's buying up and getting certain relationships with certain ports. But don't matter what the ports are. Boats are sitting outside of all of the ports right now. And guess what? They blaming it on COVID, which COVID is part of it. But it's like a perfect storm right now. We got truckers who are getting too old to drive, who've retired, those who've died due to COVID or died just naturally for whatever reason. We've got also the same thing with the pilots and the planes, those who are retiring. And then we have this new generations, the last few generations, who they sitting living at home with mama and daddy smoking weed and playing video games. I'm sorry. I'm going to keep it 100. Because now marijuana and all that's legal. And they still living at home at 30, 40 years old with mom and daddy or with the family. And they don't have to hold very good jobs. They don't even care. Or they trying to be social media creators or whatever else. Or hip hop artists and singers and rappers and clothing designers and whatever the hell else they're trying to do. That's not your typical work because they don't want to do that work. And so because they have people who won't replace or replenish that workforce, here we are today. Here we are today. Unless they desperate, they're not going to do it. And so now In America, at least, we have supply chain issues, shortage issues. Hey, Tiffany, what's up, baby? We got all these issues going on. And hey, these kids don't care. And, you know, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be a waiter. I don't want to be a truck driver. I don't want to be a pilot. Even pilots make good money. I don't want to do that. I want to do that. I'm going to be a creator. I'm going to make some music. I'll be a hip hop star. Okay. And I get it. They watch mama and daddy work hard all their life with very little reward and die and go to the casket. And they don't want to do it. And then they don't want to put up with all the drama from all these crazy companies, and the companies are mistreating them and treating them like slaves. I get it. I get it. And that's why now you're going into companies and you hired for one job and then they trying to put 10, 15 other positions on you. My company's doing the same thing right now. We cross-training you in 18 different areas. And only giving you 50 cents extra for each position they cross-training you in, which is chump change because you're paying another person $18 for that job. So in reality, if I'm doing two jobs, I should be making $36 an hour. Mad girl, bye. I feel you. Girl, it's a new generation of human, honey. It's a new generation of humans. And now with the legalization of marijuana, these kids don't care. It's video games. They grew up on video games. They don't know nothing about life. Just like I said, I had somebody, the baby who delivered my groceries. I had one person. The name was a Latino name. The grocery store that I do some of my fresh veggies for because they're less expensive. I said, I need jalapenos and serranos. You grew up in a Latino household, and this boy said, well, it doesn't have the codes on it to tell me which one is a jalapeno and which one is a serrano. I asked to get me a thing of celery. I said one. This chick tore off one of the pieces of the celery and put it in the bag and wrapped it up like it was a gift. Did you not go to the grocery store with your mama and shop? Oh, I forgot. This is what happened when you went to the grocery store. And you didn't pay no attention, sitting in a basket. But you know how to play that video game. You know how to drive to McDonald's. You don't know how to cook a burger. You don't know how to go to the grocery store and buy a stock of lettuce. Or excuse me, a stock of celery. So yet you're going to get a job that you just have to drive around, you don't have to really listen to nobody, and you don't even know how to shop for groceries for the people. Welcome to the new generations. Crazy as a box of rocks. And the sad part is, it's our fault. And actually, it stems down from our parents. It goes down from the free love hippie movement, Vietnam, all the drugs and everything else they started doing, and no marriage and no raising kids and families and babies without daddies and without mamas. They have no clue. And then we have the ones now who overcompensate, coddle, and had a nipple in their mouth, and I love you and you my child, and I don't care if you go and kill 5,000 people and cuss and fuss and live all these other lifestyles. It's okay. It's okay. I love you. You can love your child, but don't love them into hell. You need to tell them the truth. You out of order. You out of order. Anyway, y'all, I'm getting off of here. But yeah, definitely, this went a whole different way. And that's okay. I'm going to let the Lord be the Lord. I got stuff to do around the house. But I wanted to check in. I'm going to read some notes in here and see if I missed anything. I did go down some tangents, but prayerfully, whatever the God wanted to get out is out. It's out. Let me go back and look and see what everybody was saying. I say what's up to Jade and I talked to Mad. I say what's up to Mr. J there. Let's see, Chicago BBW spoke with you. Shawnee, what's up? And Tiffany, you came in a little bit late, so you might have to go back. Okay, so your mother freezes tell. Okay, so I'm gonna say this. I watched a video real quick, and I'm in this. And this lady got on a bus, and I guess her little boy got to acting fool with the bus driver. And so she got on bus, and they filmed it. Girl, she put him all on black. She said the bus driver, oh, you got a camera up there. Okay, I'm gonna say this. You can take him off this bus with my permission and wear his A out. You need to apologize to this lady. She driving you and you will not act a fool. I do not believe in it. I did not grow up that way and I ain't like these other parents. Honey, he had a little boy crying and apologizing. It was black mama. I was like, oh, you a real, true, old school black mama. Go on, girl. Because these kids can get up in there and tell on and cuss and fuss and act a plumb fool. And these parents and treat these teachers like they... That's why I thought, I'm going to say that's the biggest blessing that COVID had. Was all your bad A kids. You had to stay home with their little crazy behinds. You can't pawn them off on them teachers. And then get up in there and want to try to beat up the teacher because your child is ratchet. Child need a foot, your foot put in there behind it. You need somebody put your foot in our foot in your behind because you allowing that bad drama to grow up and be entitled, grumpy. So, girl, bye, and defending madness, girl, bye. A bunch of folks defending madness. I can't. Ooh. My mom was crazy, but honey, you get to acting a fool up in school, that woman would show up and wear you out right in that classroom and dare anybody to come up in there and say something. Girl, yeah. Don't even get me started. Now these little ninjas can cuss out the teacher and the mama and daddy gonna come up there and try to beat up you take that cow home and whoop they behind and show them how to have some doggone manners. God bless America. People crazy. Anyway, y'all. Peace out. God bless y'all. Have a good night. 2 and 2.